All right, Yanaway.
Yanaway.
So greetings to our friends and family online, and welcome to the conclusion of today's communion. For the people online, we were already here several hours. We've been here since 11 this morning, so this is the conclusion of what it is that we do earlier during the day. So communion is a designated time that we set aside where we fully and openly indulge unapologetically in our African Kemetic culture. And that's important that you understand that, because we have a lot of new people, so sometimes we always got to take a couple steps back before we move forward. We can't just assume everyone's always on the same level. So for the new people, we've been doing this for over 20 some odd years. And I just want to say this one thing, that we cannot be heckled, we cannot be naysayed or trolled away. We're here to stay. In fact, when those things go on in our community, that actually feeds us. That actually fuels us. I don't know if y'all know, but traditionally or historically, when those who deem themselves righteous are under persecution, we see that as a form of validation that you're actually on the right path. It's almost to the point where if people ain't hating on you, you probably ain't doing something right. So it's actually a compliment. So with that being said, if you're the righteous and you're under attack, it's almost like you're not really relevant if you're not under attack, if you haven't been under attack. So with that being said, what's that have to say about those who are doing the attacking? So don't get me wrong, you have the right to have a question. You have the right to question things, but there's a spirit of a question, right? It's an energy on how somebody questions something. So you have the right to question, and we encourage questions. But you don't have a right to disrespect us. We don't tolerate disrespect. So our response to the crises in the community is never through vitriol, is never through sensationalism, is never through foolishness. Our response, and the only appropriate response to the challenges that go on in our community, is ma'at. For the new people, do y'all know what ma'at is? Tell them what ma'at is, you. Y'all failed in class, you got quiet. That's supposed to be on there. Say that again. Truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, order, balance, and reciprocity. So that's the only appropriate response coming from spiritual people, right? So I would even go so far to say ma'at is the truth of netter. So our response is with the truth of netter. Now, according to some texts, it is say that ma'at is breath to the nostrils of Ra. So ma'at is how the Creator sustains itself. So when we come with ma'at, or the spirit of ma'at, it's saying that us as spiritualists, or us as a spiritual community, are like a breath of fresh air to the community. Because what you're saying is people are stuck in their certain levels of consciousness. They thought that information would liberate them. But it's kind of like digestion. You can eat all the right foods, but if you can't assimilate what it is that you're eating, that very same thing that you think is good could actually turn toxic and turn upon you. And that's what we're seeing happening in the community. So we have to slow the conversation down. We got into this thing of inundating the community with massive amounts of information, all to find out that people are not digesting the information. And they're seeing it as a form of mystery of why they're stuck in life, because they're not really comprehending. So reading comprehension is poor in the community. The science is high, it's always been high, but the comprehension is poor. So before we go on, I want to say big up to our people in Brazil and Africa. So since we've gone online, we got people in Brazil and Africa checking us out. And that's an interesting thing, because all our lives as Africans in America, we've always been told to go back to our roots. We got to connect back to our roots, at least as conscious folks. We be super African. We be actually more African than them on the continent sometimes. And we find out sometimes that they on the other side have not been encouraged to connect with us, not in all cases, but there's just been this awkward tension between continental Africans and us as African Americans. But things are coming full circle. Us as African descendants of slaves, and I'm saying that not connecting myself to that political movement is just represent part of our experience. That's just true. We're African descendants of slaves, but things are coming full circle that the African descendants of slaves are now the reformers and the vanguards of the culture. Us as African Americans, us as African descendants of slaves have withstood the brunt of evil that came from white folks. We survived white supremacy. We survived lies. We survived brainwashing, all to come out and say, I'm God. I'm goddess. And we're telling them, by the way, we taking Kemet back too. And we're going to reconfigure it and get back on track. And that's amazing in 400 some odd years when our mind has been totally wiped. That lets you know that there's a method to the madness going on, that there is a divine plan, that you just have to keep yourself prepared to catch a thought of God or the Creator. Now, contrary to popular belief, hip-hop is not our culture. And that's coming from a hip-hop head. Hip-hop has become the culture of African Americans, and hip-hop is actually now influencing Western culture to the point where people in general as Westerners just love hip-hop. But I say hip-hop is not our culture because the hip-hop that we grew up on, I'm talking about anybody 40 and over, the hip-hop we grew on is different than what they're calling hip-hop now. I say it's not our culture because hip-hop now, everything goes. Anything goes. You got men wearing dresses, women, you know, everything is just switched. It's almost illegal to say that something is not hip-hop. And you can't say that, hey, it's all hip-hop. So my thing is, what's not hip-hop? And nobody can answer that question no more. So us, what we're doing in here, we've reformulated north, south, east, west elements of African culture, and we reconfigured it in a way that works for us because us as African descendants of slaves, we're reformers. We have the right to reform. Our experience is different than those on the continent, so the culture has to reflect our experience, but we took the experience of everything that's happened before us into consideration as we reconfigured or repurposed it. Is that making sense to you? So now we got the attention of our people in Africa. In Brazil has the largest population of Africans or melanated people outside of Africa. So this is a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing that's going on. So they see us up here in traditionally inspired garments. They see the altars in the shrines. They see the libations. They see the reverence for the nectar. The Netarut, the ancestors, the elders, and I call it, there's a genetic familiarity going on. So when you have that genetic familiarity, they be like, oh, that's family. Because culture is how melanated people have civilized relationships with one another. So when you proven or shown that you're civilized, Africans embrace you. I don't know y'all experience, there's this dialogue that Africans don't like us. Every continental African that I've met love me. They offer me their homes. They're like, you need to come to Africa with me. You can stay with me. I'll take you wherever it is that you're going. And I said, that's deep because I don't offer my home to African Americans. And you ain't gonna never catch me. Yo, come to my house. Here, don't worry about it. I'm gonna feed you and I'm gonna take you everywhere you need to go. How many of us do that? It's always contradicting. But you from the island. We talk about that like the strict African American thing. So when the continental African embrace you, they really embrace you. I would say it's almost to a fault because that's how the Europeans got in. Because they embraced it. So when they embrace, we be having this rigorous process as African American. We got to be watching somebody for 10 years to see if we can. You're like, oh, it's been 10 years. It's me, baby. And they be like, I don't know. I still got to watch. Africans, once they like you, they like you. So if they see that you got some culture about, because that's what it is. us as African Americans, we appear to have no culture to the rest of the world. So remember, culture represents civilization. So if you're showing no signs of culture, traditional garb, foods, libations, respect of elders, they be like, yo, you're a savage. They be like, we can't rock with them. So once you show those signs, they be like, my brother. Because there's just one religion of Africa, and it just manifests in different ways, right? So we shouldn't be arguing over which system is better or not when it's all the same. So nowadays, or from now on, 2020 and on, we will not allow ourselves to be landlocked to any specific region on the continent or even any bloodline. We are cosmic, right? We say we're spiritual people having a human experience, so we are cosmic. So this is not about blood. We're cosmic, yet we're earthly. Blood is thicker than what? Water. But spirit is the essence. I got a TM that. You ain't used to that. Put a comma on it, but spirit is the essence. Blood is thicker than water, but spirit is the essence. So the source is raw. The source is light. So we have to learn to resource. Re means again. We must learn to constantly go to the source. And Ra, or the creator, or the divine force, is our resource. It is our primary resource. Y'all get it? Yeah. So it's not about ethnicity. It's about Ma'at. It is about the primacy of Ma'at. And what is Ma'at? Okay. 7 cardinal virtues. So it's about the primacy of Ma'at. So let us not get into these side conversations about evil people in the past, because people are constantly looking for excuses for you not to be on your path. They're like, well, what about in the 13th dynasty? I heard they was wilding out. Well, what about in West Africa? I heard they did. Be like, don't be telling me about no dirty priests or whatever. We understand Ma'at, and it is our job to do Ma'at to the best of our ability, right? We can't take responsibility for something somebody else did. They should have knew better, of course. And because they didn't know better, they set a course of action in motion that we're now suffering for. So we can't cry over spilled milk. We just got to clean it up. That's our job, to clean it up. And just so y'all know, since we're on that, all of our ancestors weren't right and exact. And we got to be able to be comfortable with saying that. We weren't perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be in this situation now. Right? We are all healing, or we are healing our answers by way of the Ma'at philosophy. Truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, order, balance, reciprocity. The truth of nature. That's how we're healing our ancestors. I can guarantee you that our ancestors are not angry with us by taking up this Ma'at philosophy. They're not angry. They're not petty over, you should have did it this way. The Ma'at philosophy. Our ancestors are now ready to heal. There's a saying that said, Ma'at leads to sacredness. Sacredness means that which is set apart. So you can't be the common Negro no more. Y'all gotta stop, Sean. Y'all gotta stop fighting to be regular. You gotta stop saying I'm different, but you acting like everybody else. Ma'at leads to sacredness. It's set apart in a good way, not in a bougie way, in a good way. Because when you set yourself apart in a proper way, you're preparing yourself for spirit communication. Because that's what our tradition is about. It's about ancestral communication, but you have to prepare the way. The way has to be open. Is that making sense? Yeah. So now, check this out. We must now be strong enough to endure the unburdening of our ancestors' pain and sin. Let me repeat that again. Because this is crucial. Because this is crucial as we go forward, 2020 and beyond. We have to be strong enough to endure the unburdening of our ancestors' pain and sin. What is sin? No, it's not accepting Jesus Christ. It is missing the mark. So sin is missing the mark. It's an archery term. When you got the bullseye in the center, so when you miss that mark, you're considered a sinner. So I say, when you're off center, then you are a sinner. So there's marks that our ancestors missed. that they're living in pain because of. Remember, we're connected to our ancestors through our blood. So, you said melanin, but check it out. So here we are. Some people are struggling with health issues. We talk about this coronavirus. We thinking it's because of the 5G network in the air. We think it's because the poor food. But how about if it's just our ancestors unburdening their pain and their sin? Remember, we're connected through blood, DNA. So there's certain things that's being released that could come up as unexpected health issues. And we're looking outside and say, they need to stop with the technology. No, your ancestors that finally figured out that you're strong enough for them to heal. Every one of us in this room, we're representing whole ancestral lines that's going back since the beginning of time. And you're here in 2020. Are you going to redeem your ancestral line? So you have to be strong enough for that. So you're going to have to be strong enough to endure some weird illnesses sometime, because that don't got nothing to do with you. You have to understand that every good that you do might not have anything, it might not benefit you at all directly. The good that you do are for your kids. Well, check this out. Your kids is how you're going to reincarnate. So the good that you do is benefiting you directly, just not in this current space-time continuum. That's a mic drop. Communion's over, y'all. Let's go home. So let's talk about the coronavirus. That would be the responsible thing, right? I'm surprised this many of y'all are here today. You know, everybody's staying home and scared.
Nah.
Not scared? That's good. Because fear weakens the immune system. So let's recap real quickly. Because I think, I'm talking about this because Kurt Head, we were speaking on the phone. He said, well, we done the reading of the year several communions ago, and it said nothing about no virus. We got a positive reading of the year. So that's interesting how you could be in the same world but not of it. The person sitting next to you could be going through hell and you're in heaven. You'd be like, yo, life is good. And they'd be like, what you talk? What planet you on? Ain't you black in America? Like, hey, my deity is good with me. So it said the recap 2020. When you break that down, that comes down to what? Four represents what? Ma'at represents what?
Balance.
Foundation. It represents integrity. When we say integrity, we talk about solidity of your foundation. Now check this out. Now it's a 4 year, so we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, back to 1. So if you get your foundation right, if you align yourself with your foundation, you're gonna have a powerful next 5 to 6 years. However, if you don't get on your purpose, if you don't align and get your foundation correct, it will be 5 to 6 years of upheaval. And you will watch everything that you've been working on, or saying you've been working on, you'll see it wither away. I don't mean to sound down or negative, but you need to be able to make conscientious choices for your life. We can't play victim no more. You can't talk about I'm God and I'm a divine being and you complain victim when stuff don't work out your way. Because it's not working out that way because you don't have control of your thoughts or your consciousness. So there's no problems, there's just opportunities of growth. Y'all need to write that down. There's no such thing as problems, it's just opportunities of growth. So Ma'at 4. 4 equals Ma'at. Ma'at equals relationships. Interrelationships. So there's regular relationships and there's interrelationships, meaning we're all interconnected. Meaning nothing that you do is just about you. Everything that you do affects everybody else on the planet. Do y'all understand? How does that make sense? We're talking about the coronavirus. Because them Chinese folks want to eat some bats, they don't compromise the immunity of the rest of the planet. So it's never about what you're doing on your own thing. And this is just me. I'm just doing me. You be like, no, nigga. You got to get it together. You're going to mess me up in the long run. So what is corona and what is coronavirus? What does the word corona mean? Huh? Crown. 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 Everything comes from Latin. Coronavirus. Corona is a glowing circle of light around the object. When there's an eclipse, the moon has a corona. Coronavirus is actually a family of viruses belonging to the common cold. So the common cold viruses eventually develop into becoming severe and less severe forms of bronchitis. When you have a cold, all that is a form of bronchitis. When fluid fills the lungs, so when the fluid fills the lungs, fluid surrounds your cells, so water and hydration can't get in the cells, so therefore the cells can't detoxify. So technically bronchitis and that thing that they're calling the coronavirus, is people are just dying of suffocation. Their cells are not being fed. So it's a family of viruses called coronavirus, but with the one that we're concerned with is called COVID-19. And that's transmitted through animals to human beings. Once again, because the Chinese folks want to eat bats and reptiles and stuff like that, certain viruses we weren't meant to come in contact with our digestive system. So now, people's digestion is compromised. So vegetarianism and veganism is getting a big up right now. And happy, see, I told you. I'm like, yo, I don't eat that though. I just eat a little chicken. Bats and reptiles. Now everybody messed up in the game. So how many people they say died over in China?
77.
They not telling the truth.
At least what? 150 million. How many in the States?
Not telling the truth.
In this States, it's 200.
I heard 22.
She said 19. They declaring a state of emergency. State of emergency, right? All right. We were just talking before communion. How come they didn't declare a state of emergency every year when 20,000 people die of the flu every year? Where's the state of emergency? How many black folks dying in Chicago? Every weekend? Where's the state of emergency? How many people on the planet?
7 billion.
7 billion. So that's barely a drop in the bucket. So we got to look at the motivations on what's behind this virus, or the politics behind this virus. So the coronavirus, why do they call it the coronavirus? When you put it under a microscope, you see the cell, and it has glue. It looks like it's thorns sticking all in the cell, almost like cloves. You haven't seen cloves before. So it looks like a sun with the sun rays. So it looks like the corona. So that's why they call it coronavirus. It's a ring of light. Those things that's in it are called glycoproteins. Viruses are not alive or dead. It's just a form of information. So these viruses could be on your cells in your body. It doesn't mean you're going to get sick. Something has to happen where the integrity of your cells get compromised, where those things now have access to your cells, and then it makes itself its purpose known. It gets activated, it gets downloaded. That's how viruses work. So it fools your cells, that was also Freudian slip, your cells into reproducing the virus throughout the rest of your body. Okay? So now, what is the reason the cellular structure is compromised? That could be directly connected with what they call the 5G network. So every time they upgrade technology, the airwaves is inundated with electromagnetic frequencies. But we're strong. The body figures things out. But sometimes it just needs some time. I remember when there was 2G network. They were, oh man, they're going up to 3G. They went to 3, oh man, 4G next year. We playing the same game, 5G. But it's all an upgrade, and we're stronger because of it. That's how, right now, who we are, we're the strongest that we ever been on the planet. With all this toxins in the food in the air, and we still walking around saying, I'm God and God's, and feeling relatively good. We're stronger than we ever been on this planet. So those electromagnetic frequencies, at least for a period of 6 months, your body has to go through some transitioning, and that compromises the immune system. So now this alleged virus gets leaked out while everyone's immunity is compromised. Who's familiar with the deity Sekhmet? Okay, so what is her image? What's on her head? Oh, the ring of light, the corona. Sekhmet is considered the bringer of pestilence and disease. The healers in the temple were doctors called Sunu. They were considered priests of Sekhmet. So those doctors knew how to petition the Sekhmet energy to make disease and pestilence go away. So the story about Sekhmet is really about a plague. So when we talk about the destruction of mankind, the destruction of mankind was taking place due to a plague. So this coronavirus is Sekhmet. Sekhmet in nature represents the immune system. So when the story of Sekhmet is called the destruction of mankind. So the destruction of mankind usually afflicts mankind through some type of plague where, just like now, thousands of people are dying. Thousands of people are dying because thousands of people are off code. Sekhmet was invoked by the Creator when people get off code. When they become so off code that they're disrespectful. Look at all the conversation that's going around. People are like, God don't exist. All that's nonsense. Ugh. That's the same conditions that happen on the planet many times before us when people get off code or out of line. Off code, out of line, imbalance. It's going to spark an immune response from nature. We have not been taking care of the planet. We've been polluting the planet. The planet is off balance, so the planet has an immune system, and it has full right to strike back. It don't care if we understand. But if you're on code, you're totally safe. So only when the cell's integrity has been compromised can viruses be uploaded or downloaded. So how does the integrity of the cell get affected? Number one, dehydration. How many people are drinking enough water? You need to go to half a gallon to a gallon of water just because now that this conversation is going on. 2, poor diet and nutrition. Most people don't have enough minerals in their diet. Minerals alkalizes the blood. Alkalinity is the foundation of good health for the body. 3, improper breathing. Oxygen burns impurities on contact. So if you don't have full breath, full range of breath, you're starving your cells. And now your immunity is compromised. 4, too much mucus. Big up to Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi told us about mucus. Mucus is slime in the body. Mucus holds viruses, bacteria, fungus, all of that. So when you have too much of that in the body, you're a storehouse of diseases waiting to happen. So mucus is the precursor to bronchitis. So if you're carrying around a lot of mucus, you're always susceptible to a cold. If you're susceptible to a cold, which is part of the coronavirus family, that means you're susceptible to that COVID-19 joint. Don't be scared though. So who's susceptible? Those in violation of mental and physical hygienic laws are susceptible. Let me repeat that. Those who are in violation of mental and physical hygienic laws. The things that they're telling us to do, you should already been doing it. Y'all don't wash your hands? I can't believe we having conversation. Like, you gotta wash your hands. You're like, I already washed my hands. They're training people. They're training people how to wash hands. We thought we was dealing with adults. Remember, we supposed to be in the information age. Remember I said there's so much information that people are not comprehending or assimilating what it is that they know. So now naturally everyone's looking for some kind of natural remedy, cure, or even a vaccine. So now they're trying to fast forward the vaccine. Vaccines are supposed to be worked on for at least 10 years. Now they're trying to come up with it this year. Tomorrow. We got to be careful with that one because the effects, the trajectory of the effects have not been researched. You might come up sterile and impotent. The cancer rates will probably go up. All because you're scared of a common cold. Remember, coronavirus is part of a respiratory infection, a respiratory illness. So here we go. People want to live off cold and take a magic pill or vaccine and receive maximum benefits of health as if they've been living right. Go back. People are looking for a vaccine or a pill or the new herb so that they could take. They don't want to live right. They don't want to get on cold. They be like, how can I be off cold and have the maximum benefits of as if I lived on cold? Dr. Africa says people come to health practitioners to learn how to do the wrong thing right. Is that us? So what's that have to do with relationships and interrelationships? Everything is connected. As above, so below. As within, so without. Have you shown, remember I said this, have you shown up properly in your relationships personally as well as socially? Where we going with it? In your relationships, have you done minimum but somehow expecting maximum benefits as if you've done everything correct? All this talk about relationships, everyone's swearing that on their end they deserve the best. But have you shown up the best? Are you at your best for someone else? Everyone got their hand out like this. So the same thing we're doing with the health, the magic pills and stuff, we're doing that as we relate with one another. We want the full benefit as though we did everything right. But we want everybody to be tolerant of our nonsense. So if we want people to be tolerant of us, then we have to be tolerant of others. What I'm finding out is that we don't like to be bothered with one another. We have this rhetoric in our movement, for the people, for the people, for the people. And then when I'm speaking to people, people hate people. People are just doing their own thing. And remember I said your own thing is never really just about you. It's going to eventually affect everyone else. So it depends on what is it that you're exactly doing when you say you're doing your own thing. Everything is interconnected. Our relationships and interrelationships with each other as well as the planet will determine if we are susceptible or invulnerable to disease. I'll repeat it. Our relationships with each other as well as the planet will determine if we're susceptible or invulnerable to disease. Y'all able to digest that? So the current data on the coronavirus shows us that it appears to affect primarily the elderly. They're considering the elderly 60 and above. But the elders don't fret because we're conscious folks, so we got healthy elders in our community. So we're talking about sickly elders. We're talking about people that suffer from chronic health conditions. So there's acute and there's chronic. Acute means short term. Chronic means long term health issues. So if you're 60 and above and you've been always struggling with your health, you're at that point susceptible. 2, compromised immunity. So it doesn't matter if you're elderly or not. If you have compromised immunity, if you're constantly getting, oh, they're coughing in the back. That it's here. It's here. It's just, are we strong enough to withstand it? And check it out. The blessing, Kaya has said it earlier, hinted to it earlier, it hasn't appeared to have affected black folks yet. This is the best time to be black on this planet. Black is the new white. Chinese not even immune. They got more melanin than the white folk. Check it out. So according to science, a major aspect of innate immune system, a major aspect of innate immune defense system against evading pathogen involves melanin. Let me say that again. A major aspect of innate, what does innate mean? Natural. A major aspect of natural immune system The immune defense system against invading pathogens involves melanin. It goes on to say, accumulating evidence has shown that melanocytes are also active factors in the skin immune system, participate in immune responses, and have immunomodulatory properties. What is modulatory? What does modulate mean?
It goes up.
Yeah, building.
It adjusts.
Fluctuates.
Yeah, it adapts. So your melanin helps your immune system to adapt. So it means this body, this spacesuit, how we negotiate ourselves with this reality, has a built-in first response immunity even before our immune system inside. So there's definitely some relevance to the talk about the black man and woman as God and goddess. So what are our resources? I'm going to say our first resource, so don't wild out and think you got to get a whole bunch of stuff. I'm about to mention some stuff. If you got one thing from each one of these categories and you're supposed to be conscious and you live and eat and think conscientiously, you'll be fine. So our first resource, I would say, me personally, is essential oils. So the plants are the oldest ancestors to this planet. Plants, and you have the word planted. It means root, rooted. So we're cosmic, we're spiritual, right? But we're beings of light, but we have to be firmly rooted in the ground to be able to bring in more light. So when you're going all high with the spiritual stuff and you're not rooted, you're then susceptible to disease because the planet represents part of the immune system of the planet. So through the process of photosynthesis, which is the transference of light or information from the sun to the plant holds and stores information. So when we eat the plants with the enzymes and the cofactors, we then get the information that Ra gave to the plant, then it gives to our body. And then this is the thing that helps our body adjust to what's going on. Does it make sense? We heard this before. So understand that plants, the essential oils. So you have plants and then you have teas. Teas are 4 times stronger than the plants as far as assimilation and healing quality. Extracts are 4 times stronger than teas. Essential oils are 25 times stronger than all of that. So write this acronym down, R-O-I, on top of each other, R-O-I. So this is what you think of when you think of what is essential oils without having to discuss the universe and the importance of essential oils. Essential oils are the rejuvenating, that's the R. The O is oxygenating, and the I is immune stimulating qualities of a plant. That's what essential oils are, the rejuvenating, oxygenating, immune stimulating qualities of the plant. And remember, the essential oils are 25 times stronger than the rest of the forms of the herbs that you're taking. So of course you have to eat right, but you have greater support with the essential oils. So you get a diffuser. How many people got a diffuser? Good, so you already have there. Get a diffuser and you get clove oil. 10 drops. 10 drops of each one of these oils that I'm about to mention. Clove oil, lemon oil. Remember, if you got one of these, you're good. If you got cloves, you're good. If you got lemon, you're good. You have lemongrass, you're good. You have, what's that? Orange peel.
Orange peel.
Yeah. Is it orange? Sweet orange. Sweet orange. Peppermint. Lavender. Eucalyptus. Frankincense. Cinnamon. And just so you know, you could go to the store and you'll have blends with that stuff all in it, so you ain't got to buy each one of those things. That's why I said don't wild out and get crazy. We just having a conversation about stuff we already know and supposedly doing already. We're good. How many people bought the Temple Anointing Oil? How many people bought the Temple Healing Oil? So you're already good. So remember, in there it has a quartz crystal, so it amplifies the qualities and the properties of the oils that's in it. Frankincense is in the Temple the Temple Anointing Oil. Frankincense and clove and cinnamon have been scientifically and historically proven to fight off the plague. Back when the Black Plague hit Europe, there was a bunch of Young Living has a blend called the Thieves, I think. So back when they had that bubonic plague in Europe and everybody was dropping just like the corona, matter of fact, it was worse with the bubonic plague than it is with this corona. This corona thing, I feel like it's overrated. But people were dropping dead, and you had these band of people, and they was going around to people's house robbing the dead bodies, and they got caught. They got brought to court, and the judge was like, "Yo, what the heck is going on? Y'all crazy? Y'all robbing dead bodies? How are you still alive?" And they found out that these guys were spicemen. They dealt in the trade of spices, and part of their spices that they dealt with was oregano, cinnamon, frankincense, things like that. So it's been proven to have immunostimulatory effect. Food grade hydrogen peroxide, 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So you have H2O, which is what? Water. H2O2 is oxygen. H2O2 is actually the active ingredient in Lysol. Everybody, the Lysol stock went up, everybody. So the active ingredient is hydrogen peroxide. So get food grade O2. H2O2. So check it out. So it's oxygen. So we have atmospheric oxygen that we breathe in, and the body has to become a chemist and transform or shift atmospheric oxygen to atomic oxygen for your cell. Hydrogen peroxide, food grade hydrogen peroxide is already atomic oxygen. So it's fuel for the cells. So when you bring that, remember I said oxygen burns pathogens on site. So it's going to kill that corona virus that's coating your cells on site. Remember, it's in, say that again.
I was going to say, put some of that in your humidifier, a couple drops of the hydrogen.
Hydrogen peroxide on the humidifier, or you can take 1 drop in the water. Hydrogen peroxide, 1 drop in water with your gallon of water a day, so you're flushing out with your detoxing at the same time. Food supplements, black seed oil, antiviral. Understand with the oils, all oils are antiviral, antimicrobial, antifungal. Oregano, you heard of oregano? The spray or the extract, antiviral, antibacterial. Olive leaf extract. Ginger tea or powder. Remember, this is all basic stuff, nothing exotic. Y'all waiting for something. Y'all heard about that new meteorite that hit the earth. If you get a piece of that meteorite, it'll stimulate your immune system. Y'all waiting for something. It's regular stuff we got in the cabin. Oh, I got ginger. So remember there's always immunity starts in the gut. So ginger tea, we take it as a digestive aid because it neutralizes the poison in the stomach. 70% of your immune system is right here. That's the largest part of your immune system is in your gut. You get your gut together, you get your gut sanitized, you're impervious to most diseases. Garlic cayenne combination. I know the Southern Heights will get upset. Oh, it's too acidic. Remember, you're using it on a cycle as a form of medicine. So cayenne pepper is an irritant to the stomach. So as it irritates the stomach, it causes the stomach to eject mucus. Remember, mucus is slime. And slime has the microbes and the viruses, the funguses in it, and the garlic kills and neutralizes that. And then you drink the water and you flush it out. Sea moss. Too much information. Sea moss bladderwrack combination. Bladderwrack removes mucus from the body. Remember, mucus is slime. And sea moss has 92 minerals in it. Minerals alkalize the blood. Alkalinity is key with health. It is difficult for viruses to live in a high alkaline environment, number 1. Number 2, it is difficult for viruses to live in a healthy magnetic field. Number 3, it is difficult for viruses to live in a highly oxygenated environment. You see, we went through all those, we addressed all that. We addressed oxygen, we addressed water, and getting your electromagnetic field together. So drink a half a gallon to a gallon of water to keep the system flush. So energetically and spiritually, wholesome thoughts build your immunity. Fearful thoughts deplete your immunity. Y'all know we were supposed to have went over the reading of the year. I'm just going to go over parts of it. I just needed to get through that, but I'm going to deal with the stuff that's directly connected to it. It says we have to become proficient in our heka'u. What is heka'u? Words of power. When we say words of power, are we talking about having to learn some weird foreign language and just keep chanting a word over and over? Is that heka'u? It is, but that's not what we're talking about. Heka'u is words of power, but heka'u is spiritual authority. So now look at it. It says we have to become proficient in our heka'u. For the new people, they're like, what's heka'u? So this is the translation. We must become proficient in our spiritual authority. We have to have our natural response to the crises in life to demonstrate our divinity. So when crises come, you should be like, oh, it's no problem. I'm going to demonstrate my divinity. Instead of, oh my God, what are we going to do? You heard about the coronavirus, you're using it as an opportunity to demonstrate your divinity. So we have to become proficient in our spiritual authority. So your spiritual authority, your heka'u, is your mental posture. Your mental posture dictates your thought processes. Your thought process dictates your beliefs. Your beliefs dictate your behavior. Your behavior dictates your decisions. Your decisions dictate your quality of life. So it goes back to the top. Wholesome thoughts stimulates or builds your immunity. Unwholesome thoughts depletes your immunity. So it goes back to your mental posture. What is your mental posture? Are you full of fear, worry, doubt? Every time you indulge in those thoughts, you make yourself more susceptible to that COVID-19. So we go back to you. The responsibility is on you, not the herbs, not the hydrogen peroxide. Those are just things that supplement if you have a bad day or not. But you can't make the norm of having a bad day or being off code mentally and emotionally. Remember, those who are susceptible are those who are off code mentally as well as physically. There's mental hygienic laws also. It said we have to learn the art of communication more intently. We must communicate our feelings, thoughts, and emotions effectively to others. So now we chant this mantra in our community, be like, I don't care what nobody says about me. So if that's your mantra and you saying that and you kind of keep reaffirming that, that usually means that there's something that's obstinate in your character that you probably could afford to do better. Because bottom line, things work better for you in the world when people like you. So if you're going to talk about, I don't care what they say, they got to deal with it, you think you're going to be the one that get the promotion at the job? Now, I don't care what your skill set is. If people don't like you, they don't like you. If you can't work with people, you cannot be trusted at the job to get the promotion or the raise. You got the best product in the world, but if people do not like you and you have no social skills, it ain't going to work. Things we must do to continue to elevate. Give daily thanks for our blessings, the few and the many. Show gratitude in all aspects of our lives. So it might not be perfect for you now, but continue creating that reality in your head and just give thanks that you do see signs that the universe is responding to the energy that you're putting out there. You just have to become more proficient in your heka'u. You say it's no more avoiding the discipline no more. There's no more philosophy to learn no more. None of the science that go over your head is getting back down to what is your mental posture. Nothing else to talk about. So your quality of life is already going to be a direct printout of what's going on in your head. So if your life ain't right, your quality of life ain't right, you're already telling on yourself. Honor the ancestors daily. What does that mean? Libation. What else?
Cleaning the house, keeping your space clean.
Cleaning the house, keeping your space clean. What about this? Honor them through bringing honor to your name.
Yes.
In the African tradition, your reputation is all that you got. People are going to determine whether they want to be bothered with you. They go, oh, you one of them Joneses. Like, damn, man, I got to clean up the family name. Remember, the ancestors are trying to heal, so it's time to reverse the polarity to the positive of what's going on with your family line, or you get a new name, you get your African name, and then you reboot from there. To honor your ancestors daily, have regular ancestral ceremonies and celebrations. Do y'all know what that means? That means Coney Island is mandatory for y'all Negroes. It was always mandatory, but it came down in the reading. So attendance, we need to see you there. So I don't want to get into the tradition of trying to discuss the whole universe in a day. We covered a lot today. And just understand we have the rest of the year in communion to configure our plans and our strategies for success. But there is the one takeaway from today is we have to clean up and improve our relationships and our interrelationships for the sake of ourselves and for the healing of our ancestors. Y'all got it? So we got to keep my eye always in the forefront of our mind for the benefit of ourselves and our ancestors. We have to clean up and improve our relationships and our interrelationships. And Ma'at should always be in the forefront of our mind for the benefit of ourselves and the healing of our ancestors. So let us stand up and close out. So I'm going to say peace and Shimmy and Matep to the people online. Everybody stand. Hands in the 90-degree angle. Brothers cross left over right, sisters. Brothers cross right over left, sisters left over right. We say Shimmy and Matep.
Shimmy and Matep.
Dear new Uncle Jocelyn.
Dear new Uncle Jocelyn.
Peace and satisfaction. Give energy around the room. Bring the energy into the body, the heart. On the count of 3, ground and stomp out with your right foot. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's it.
Those of you who have not made a donation, you may do so by leaving the donation in the bowl at the back, or you can give it to Sir Shep Armin Kau, and thank you in advance for doing so. Those of you who are online that would like to make donations may do so by Cash App to Temple of Anu or by PayPal templeofanu@gmail.com. Tuaneta, Shemi Matep.